thank you all for coming tonight. We're going to have, we'll get to the presentation in a minute. I was just going to go over some of the past events. Joanne, did you want to say anything about the Prune show?
No, so thank you for everybody who helped and won trees and
Well, Joanne has mentioned that she's going to step aside from the Prune show next year, so we'll be looking for another chairman of that. But Joanne, we thank you very much for your years of service. So thank you. We've got the Christmas party. Well, we've got the November meeting, but also in December 3rd, we have the Christmas party at the Krone. So we're going to need, some help with that, getting the dinner put together, and the board will be bringing drinks this year as usual. So that's a big event. We get the Krone in the evening after it's closed with the lights dimmed, and if you haven't been there, it's really cool. So please put that on your calendar, and hope to see you there. Does anyone have any questions? I know I asked that earlier, but we do have the workshop on Saturday out at Jamie's Landscaping and Garden. It's at 11 o'clock. It will be, well, he'll give us more information on it. So we've got, I believe, 8 or 10 people signed up. So there's still room for, a handful more. So if you haven't signed up, you like the presentation tonight, go online, sign up. It's only $20. That includes the tree and the soil. So, again, he'll tell us a little bit more about it. So, any questions? If not, we'll go ahead and move on to our presentation tonight.
Thank you.
Kerry, good. Thank you.
Glad to be here. My name is Kerry. This is my little baby here. Traveled me a long way. We'll briefly for the workshop on Saturday. I have picked out some regular Jade locusts like these, as well as the hobby Jade. They are in like a 6-inch container. So that will include the pots, soil, like little plastic little trigger pot, as well as some other surprises I'll have for you guys when you show up. I've been at Jamie's for about a few years. I was at Delhi for about 20 years. I'm been a horticulturist my whole life. I've always had a passion for bonsai, for collecting plants. I've been a grower, landscape designer. I've sort of done it all. My heart and true passion is bonsai and tropicals and greenhouse growing. That's why I ended up at Jamie's. There was a greenhouse back there that sat empty for a number of years. So we got that up and going a few years ago. So we were growing and expanding quite a bit. Jamie's head is spinning. He's not used to all the plants, but he's learning very, very quickly. As far as the bonsai that are there, it's I'm just starting to build up more starter plants there. I have a lot of tropicals, but also at home in the spring, I will bring in more of trident maples, jack maples, shimpakus, different traditional things as well that we will begin to produce as starter plants, as well as other materials. We have some bonsai pottery there. So we're just starting to build things up there. It's just me, so it takes a lot of time. I'm busy with landscape design for the guys as well as growing in the back. So I'm pulling in a lot of. Finally, work on this is a joy to me because I'll look at it, pass by it every day, and thought I'm gonna get to you. So when this came about, I thought now's my chance. Little story behind this little Jade.
I was with my parents in vacation in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And I was very much even then into bonsai. I would go out into the woods and dig up material out of the woods and sort of train them and reading up on them. There was a nursery that was going out of business. Just all laying around. They were $5 a piece, I'll never forget. So I loaded the car. I was loading all sorts of things. So I took them back. This was the height of the summer, and I pruned it back very hard, almost no foliage. And I trained the roots, put them in a shallow pot, and started to build the root system over the next 4 or 5 years. I did a lot of talks at in Louisville, where I used to work, at Mulch Nursery. I was with the Louisville Bonsai Society, and someone gifted me this beautiful container, the pot. And that's when I actually potted this up into that. That was 1983 was when this was done. It's been a little bit of styling, kind of a free form. It hasn't been pruned on for probably a couple years. Just been too busy, but I do repot it each season. And a lot of people ask, what is all the green on the bottom? And I'll tell you why. That's the giant baby tears, and it's an excellent regulator plant for a lot of these jades. It eliminates a lot of overwatering. It will actually take up that water if there's any excess. So if you sort of keep this going, the plant will do just fine. That being said, I do let it run very dry in the summer months, and that will initiate more flowers. They'll go through that cycle. It's in full bloom by every Christmas. I'm not going to prune off all these flowers tonight. I want to see them bloom first, and then I will prune them later, but I will do some more structural pruning. When it's in bloom, a lot of people gets a lot of attention. I take pictures with it every year, and then before you know it, it's spring. Then it's back to where it was before. So I'm glad to get a hold of this thing. I've done a little bit of styling on it over the years. Like I said, it used to be in a hanging basket, so there's multiple trunks. And if you look here on the front, you'll see a very large piece that's missing there. That was an original branch that used to be up to here that had rotted out during one of the summers. So I pruned it out and cleaned it out. And during that same time, I had taken this part out here as well. This part was hanging way over the edge. So sort of just a little bit of more configuration with it and get the trunk cleaned out very well. I do use some broad spectrum fungicide in the summer, especially if I do any major cuts. And with jades, I will do severe pruning during the height of the summer when you have a long day. I would never do it in the winter months, but in the summer months, I'll go through on some jades I'm styling at home that will leave almost no foliage at all. And it'll push out new growth pretty quickly in the summer months, and you start to style that over the years. It's just very tricky. June, July is the only time I do that. The rest of the year, I just do superficial pruning or what needs to be done. So what I'm going to do tonight a little bit is sort of, there's a lot of pieces are hanging down kind of out of whack. I want to kind of get it layered up a little bit more, get more structure going, because once I tip out most of these after Christmas especially, it will thicken up quite a bit with a lot of foliage. And I'll come through later in the spring and tip that out once again. And that makes a pretty good layers for the summer months. So what I want to do is these pieces that are down, they've never been pruned. And by the way, I'm going to mention that before I get started, all of the jades that we have there is descendants of this. It's all propped off of this. So at the same time in the greenhouse, they will all bloom at the same time. So it's kind of interesting. I've had other jades and they won't bloom, but this one just likes to bloom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and these pieces here, I'm going to prune these down. And what I do when I prune this, I don't cut right up to the trunk. I leave a little bit of space. These segments that are there, sometimes, I'm going to prune one out here and show you. Sometimes if you prune away from that branch, I've learned you actually get a little bit of side growth that will form around that ring that little cambium there, and it'll grow out. You have some more growth. If you cut too close to the trunk, you have a chance of that trunk the stem, it could rot out. It could cut into the stem more. So always cut away from it initially. By the way, all these pieces that I'll be cutting, anybody's welcome to them. They will root.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So when you take these cuttings off and
Mhm.
you plant them, how long after that before they start blooming?
Oh, they'll bloom each year, each cycle.
So the cuttings will bloom right
Yes,
away.
like if I take these cuttings and let's say they're rooted into a 4-inch container, the next winter you'll see flowers form. If they've never been pruned, they'll have flowers on them. Because a lot of people you'd be surprised that people don't know that jades bloom till they walk in there and they're like, what is this? So
what is the secret to get it?
the dry, what you want to do is you run them dry in the summertime. This sits outside, full sun, 95-degree heat all summer long. And during that time, it gets very dry, so dry that this will actually turn a light green where it gets a little dry, and then I'll water or let the natural rain water it. And when it goes to that cycle, it will shut off growth. And then this time of the year, new growth starts and it blooms. So it's the drying cycle in the summer months to get the most bloom out of it. Yep. And it's a fine line between too dry as well. If you look at the top here, see the little wrinkles here in the foliage? That's where there's a little bit of lack of moisture here at the top. And that will plump up, if you will, this winter. But after a summer that we've had, they'll look like that. The higher you go, the more it's going to do. And this branch was the newest branch. This is all the original plant from 83. This has just been in the past 12, 15 years, this branch. So it has a lot more energy. And even here in the past couple of years, you'll see this new stem that come up, and I just let it go to see if it could be styled. You see it has a lot of energy there as well. And I don't let it go too long because that all the energy will be taken away from the rest of the plant, and this will try to take over. But the cutting stalk is taken off this new vigorous growth, and they'll grow pretty quickly because that clone will still have the flowers. But growth has the most flowers on it, of course. Yes.
Technically a single plant.
Actually, it's a cluster of plants. There's probably 3 or 4 original plants. They had 3 or 4 original plants in these hanging baskets when I purchased it. And they were probably about this tall in the baskets. It was just a little root thing. So I cut them almost in half initially. Like this branch here used to be way up here originally. So you just teach it who's boss.
When you put it outside in the summertime,
I have not had that problem yet. No, not at all. Like I say, it's slowly acclimated. Remember, this is in the greenhouse all winter long, so it's in the sun all winter even. It would be different if it was indoors and you put it outside. I think it would burn. Yes. Because even the summer months, it's starting to lose it now, but this is a very bright red that'll give the edge of the leaves like most jades will. Not so much the new growth, this older growth. It's pretty nice. Matter of fact, one year there was so much red on it with the white flowers. It looked like something out of Christmas. It was pretty interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer it. You know, when you cut above a pair of leaves, the direction of that leaf, of course, is where your branch is going to grow out. Most of the time, you'll get 2 branches that'll come out, sometimes just 1, and I will watch that. If I'm looking at some major branching, I will take 1 out, let the other one go. And I'm going to show you, it's a little hard to see here, but you see where you got the main branch, and you have 2 little offshoots right here. And what I'll do is I will cut, instead of just above that, I'm going to leave 1 set of leaves on top of there. Because instead of cutting there and just having the 2, when I cut here, 2 more branches will come out, and now I have 4, and it makes a thicker branch. And it's tempting to cut right above that, but you want to leave it for at least another year. So I'm going to go through here. And what I want to do is just take out as many tips as I can. By the way, when I take off some of this, you'll see there's a rock, and that's my little buddy there. He stays with them. Surprised no one has stolen them.
So will it grow
Yes.
in the wintertime? greenhouse?
It does. It does. Not a whole lot, but once you get past, say March, and you get the longer days, you will see it. You'll see it grow pretty quickly. So,
low nighttime temperature do you look to exceed before you put it back outside?
Anything above 55. Usually by the time we move out some of our tropicals, we just play around with the weather. It is in the cooler part of the greenhouse, and I do run it cool and bright in the greenhouse in the back corner. So it would probably be, gets down probably 50, 55 in the dead of winter back in that corner. And that's fine. Yeah. So I'm going to prune some things out here.
What does it help?
Yes. You know, the greenhouse fertilizers that we use in the greenhouse, I will use a little bit less strength, but I will hit it during the summer pretty freely, but I do not on the winter months. Not at all. The growth would get too weak on me in the winter time. So what I'm doing here is I want to get this a little bit layered up and opened up here. Work in the front here. And see, typically I would be taking some cutting stock off of these, but like I say, you guys are welcome to these little cuttings because. And what I'm looking for is like say, the direction it leaves, the direction that the branches will grow. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm alternating as I'm pruning here. So it would give a fuller growth when it comes back out. I'm going to take off some of these bottom leaves here as well. And you can take a few off. 1983 is when I bought it, so yeah, never do the math.
Jade's generally like to be in a crowded pot.
Yes, this is the soil in this is only about that thin. It's very, very, very thin. There's some large rocks in here too, boulders. I'm taking off some of these older leaves, and that will initiate some other energy at the top too. Some of these older leaves are just what I call just hanging around for no reason sometimes. And it was also downsized the leaves more because of all the energy of this new one here. I'm going to go. Sometimes nothing, just regular potting soil. I don't even use breeding hormone. All I do is just take and instead of pulling, kind of twist and pull out those bottom couple leaves, and just even a piece like that will root in a few weeks.
Would you leave it in the air for a week or so?
Yes. All the succulents. By the way, I grow a lot of succulents there as well, and you'll see that if you come by the greenhouse. I know you've seen quite a few back there. I do cut them; they dry for a day or two. Yeah, usually. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of euphorbias and things, and they have to dry for at least 48 hours. I try to keep people from throwing them away when I cut them is the problem, because they think it's trash. They know better. So let me get through here. Let me get this layered wood. It was pretty big, yeah. I would say probably close to 50 at this point. And now a couple, I'd say, I'm trying to think, probably, I guess almost 10 years ago, I did a severe cut on it once again. And like I say, it was almost defoliated in the summer, even with this stage. And I just retrained the growth again as well. So. It does actually, yes. Especially in the summertime. It may sit here for most of the winter. And as you get close to the spring, you'll see all the growth start to thicken up in here quite a bit. Even on thicker older ones. Because this, let me find it here. I had a branch right here. You see where this original was cut right here. And little piece just come through here, and I was just trained over the years. And eventually, like next summer probably, I wouldn't do it this time of the year, but I will cut this and clean this little piece here to get more of a gradient trunk on that. Because there's a segment right here that's still alive. When you cut that segment out, it will actually rot away. Like, let me see if I can see one here. You see the older one here, the only issue I have with the original trunk, see where that rotted out, and see this is a piece that I'm removing right through here, but this is actually alive right here. So it's been cut twice, killed out once, and then this is the new growth starting out from that too. That will be retrained. Sometimes you have control of, sometimes you don't. But yes, you can use anything. Let me use my rake here, but you'll see where it's. Let me get it hollowed out for you. You'll see where it's hollowed out, and it's like paper. It's like a little shell. And now you'd want to take the shears, and you will clean that and cut that all out and then clean it. Because if not, that will hold water. And when it holds the water, of course, that's when you run into problems. And we'll cut a piece of that here to get that started. You know, I do a lot of the Portulacaria jades, but I don't usually on this jade. I do have, which is interesting, I do have a Portulacaria jade that, I'm trying to which Montana garden I was at. I got a little piece of it, and they were nice enough to give me a piece. And it cascades tremendously. It's very prostrate. It's not upright at all. And I have some that I'm growing and staking up and doing some cascades with them. So that's kind of exciting. And I've got some variegated the same way. And then afterwards, you all can come up and see where I've hollowed this out a little bit. And I'm going to leave it open before I cut the rest later too, so that has a chance to air out. Because I don't want to keep that moisture there in the wintertime. And you'll see what I mean when you come up and look at it here in a few moments. Okay, so continue to prune out some of these. It's tempting for me to cut these ones with the flowers, but I'm going to leave some on there. So, but just cutting a few of these terminals here will give it a chance to start initiating some more growth. Yep. We are at the 747 in Westchester. And when you see if you're coming from 275, you go north, and we're up maybe about 4 miles or so on your right. Yep. We look very small. It's you'll see the red little barn out front. And you come to the front door. And, sorry?
A spider.
Spider. Oh yeah, there's spiders. There's little hay bales out there. I've got one of those there. we have lots of mums. Okay, I'm gonna keep layering this up just a bit. Yes. Well, that's where I use this plant. See where it's a dark green? It's full of moisture. It's plump. So there's plenty of moisture in this plant right now, but if it gets an off green color, and I will let it get dry before I water, especially when you get those dark, cloudy days where there's no sun. It will just sit there dormant for quite a while. And some of these older leaves too, they will drop off naturally in the wintertime. I do clean them occasionally, take them off, work on the spikes here a minute here.
So if you didn't have that ground cover, you just look at the
Yes. Yes. I do that with the other ones as well. I've always liked the ground cover with that too. The toys. You know, it's as busy as we get in the summertime. It's kind of collateral damage on the site. Sometimes we get watered more than I like to, but it's watered pretty freely in the summer. To be honest with you, if it's out in the rains, the natural rains, no matter how much that is as well. But at least I'd say 2-3 times a week at least, because that's when it's growing the most. It drains pretty well, but now I won't repot till spring on this, but that's when all this will get repotted. I'm going to prune out some of this too. And you'll see where I let this grow all the way at the top here. And I'm going to pull a lot of this away so you kind of see what's going on. People always hate when I do this to it. And I say, oh, trust me, it's fine. If people would ask me how to propagate this, and I tell them just throw it over their shoulder.
You should ask how.
And typically I do prune this. You can just prune it like you would grass or something. So, and it's not, you don't want to use the regular baby tears. It's too small. That's when it likes the moisture. This one would take it very dry as well. Going through here because I do have a couple of nice roots here.
Is that all ground cover or is that structure of the jade?
That's the structure of the jade. You'll see the roots here.
So the actual roots of the jade are limited to the
mostly the bottom and a shallow layer. Yes, it's about that deep. It's shallow out. The trunk comes down and the train those laterals go right out. You'll see right through here. Let me get this cleaned up here for you. I'm so happy to get this thing worked on. Getting all this cleared out, so be careful not to cut any roots here. Typically, I don't let it grow completely over the top like this. So it's usually primary down here at the bottom. So all this has been well overgrown for me. So you'll start to see some of the roots that come out. It's very nice. They'll come through all that. So let me get all this pruned out. You can see the structure better. I assume there is a broom around here, correct? Oh, I'm noted for making messes when I'm working in the greenhouse. That's right.
How aggressive do you prune those?
In the summertime, very aggressive. I've taken Jades in 2 gallons and get them in little shallow pots, and I just strip those whole roots out. Yeah. It's, some people watch me like, is that going to live? I said, yep, it'll live. And I've even taken pieces of trunk of Jades and root them. Just the trunk, let it dry, and actually either lay them on their side or plant them in and root them and start it for the trunk that way. But summertime is the only time you could really do that. Let me get this clean here, and I'm going to turn it around and just see what I've got here. Yep, there's probably all kinds of fun critters in here. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've let this little baby tears go. But in the summertime, it also helps shade it, so I just let it stay there.
We have a height limit in mind, and after a while, we have an issue with it getting
It is. It's actually, I will start eventually this summer. I want to take it down a little bit more to get this thickened up. But until then, I want to make sure we got enough energy to build the foliage before I start going down with it to get it more laterally growing. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I take it and very carefully just wire it in. I tilt it on its side. I get some people to help me, so I don't want to break the top. And you would think it's surgery, let me tell you. You'll see here. This little bird's been there forever. There's quite a few different rocks and stones down here that's actually growing over. And what's going to happen for next summer is I'm going to start to remove some of the soil slowly, and we'll expose a lot of the top surface roots as well. It'll go right into the container. So that's kind of the next set, if you will. But there's a lot of rocks. You see this completely underneath this that's growing over. Side here. No, I was putting this in my Jeep and everybody's like, where are you taking it? Where's it going? Oh, people watch this for me. I know I donated the variegated philodendron there at Crohn's, and I thought sure someone was going to steal that. This one here? Yeah, I started in 83. Yeah. But you'll start to see some of the root structure that's there in the front. You'll start to play around with that. Yeah. You know, as a joke, this little tag has been hanging on here for years. People say that little tag. People ask all the time, how much is it? And I say there's no way to put a cost on it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to remove a lot of this off the top, because this time of the year you want to get more air on the trunk. And then this summer, you know, a lot of this will, like I say, I'm going to try to start taking down here in the middle. I do have another container that's a little bit deeper that I'm sort of been looking at that it may go into that. So I will figure that out at a later date here. I'm going to show you here. If you look on the back, you'll see it was hidden by this. You will see two dead trunks right here that I'm going to remove. There's little pieces that came out. So I'm just going to take regular shears to take those out. Nothing fancy, but then after that, I want to clean those out. Let that air out, and after it airs out, I will cut that little shell around the stem to clean it out, and then I will apply a fungicide so that doesn't continue to rot for the winter months. I'm sorry? Yes. Yes, because if that starts to rot, it can go into the main trunk, and then you wouldn't know it till it would be too late, and then the center of the trunk would already be dead, and you know, the whole stem would just die automatically. Which it happens. It happens very commonly on large jades like this with big trunks. You know, they're full of moisture and just needs one catalyst to upset the apple cart, and off it will go. So I hope you can see the structure of this much better. And in a few weeks, this will grow back out, and I will prune it down even more. Typically, this is where it always stayed on the bottom. It's just been like they've grown over the top for so long. But Any common fungicide, Dicanyl works. I've used Dicanyl. I do use pretty good strength out of it. I don't get too timid with it. I will do it pretty good. I'm looking at here. The percentage, yeah, I do it pretty heavily. That I do. What I'm going to do, I think we'll take a couple of these off the top for right now. See a piece here that's out here this summer. I'll take a little thicker shares on that one. And we'll cut just above that so I can clean that out later. I don't want to cut into the trunk on that one. That's a nice little tag there, right? On the back side here a moment. Now at home I do a lot of outdoor bonsai. Typically I'll bring those in over winter. We have one time a greenhouse that is not heated, but it doesn't freeze too badly, so I do some tridents and things there. Like through here to get at the branch. Well, if you just cut this right now, chances are you'll get some growth on it. But if you wait till summer, it'll grow much faster. If you take a risk, if you cut this in the wintertime for too long, it's a chance of that one rotting out. So I would never do it this time of the year. But in the summertime, you could cut back to bare trunks like these, and they will push out new growth.
See, I was cutting in between the leaves.
Mm-hmm. To grow.
Like the one to form a canopy.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find it hard to
Well, when you get rollout, if you all summer long, you see the new growth here, it's very soft. Take that and just roll it out with your fingers. If you do that all summer long, you'll be surprised of all the congested growth you'll start to get through here in the summer months. And then you start to control that.
Kerry,
Yes.
It's fair to say though that it's really only cut back right below where you take out.
Yes. Yes.
So
For the most part.
it's nearly impossible to get it to branch out 3 to 4 inches down.
Well, it's
Without cutting it down.
right. In the summertime, what happens, it's not impossible, but sometimes you'll just get just that one branch that'll come out. And it's from that one branch that you can start to train that off to the side, just like this one here did. You know, it was cut back hard and it pushed out one branch, and then you just style and train this over the years. It takes quite a few years, of course. So now initially, you know, you could go through in the summer and you could really hit this back really hard, like you see where this was cut here as well. And you see, you would think it would come out with all this growth, but it just came out from there. So it's, you never know. I've learned with some of these jades. You can try your best to know where it's going to be, but let's see here. I'm going to cut this here. You see, there's a lot of congested growth coming right up through here. I am going to take this down. Get this to branch out more on the top. Okay. It's a white flower. Kind of looks like little Star of Bethlehem flowers, if you will. Kind of sweet smelling. I don't know. You can smell when you walk in the greenhouse. So, I'm sorry? You know, I've seen flies on it. Flies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not too bees in a greenhouse. But, so at this stage, what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do a whole lot more on the top just because I want to enjoy the flowers. But the structure at the bottom, like I say, is what I'll be working with next. And The only thing that I'll be working on too is this summer. You see where this comes out very far through on this side here. I do want to take this in a little bit, but I want to give it some more energy. But I will probably take it back pretty far, even this way eventually for the summer months. I just don't want to do that severe pruning this time of the year, of course. So this will air out. I will get some additional cleaning done around here, around the trunks. And sometimes, I gotta find one here. I thought I saw one a minute ago. You'll even get a little bit of growth trying to pop out different places along that trunk. And sometimes I'll let them go to see there's one here. Or it's trying to regenerate a little bit there. And I'll let it go for a while to see what it's going to do, if it's worth saving or not. Now, when we do the workshop, we've cut back pretty severely on some of those trunks this time of the year, but especially on the hobbit jades, the little trumpet jades. Those tend to push out a lot of congestive growth more than obovanas like these. Virtually Kerry as well. Look at here, I'm going to take a few more down this way. You know how it is, the more you look at it, the more you miss something, or I'm going to cut some more. But I'm a little happy with this right now. Like I say, I don't want to overdo it this time of the year. You'll have plenty of cutting supplies here. The only one let's see here. Because I think once I repot it into a larger container, this will probably get centered a little bit more too. I already have some nice little rocks picked out I'm very picky about the rocks. And I will keep this growing all the way around. And then I will get this repotted. So I'm not going to do a whole lot more than that. And this is, usually he sits in here. This was my little man here. He sits up in there. This was a gift to me a long time ago. I have all the collection of all the little clay figurines. And someone gave me this. So he's had lots of names over the year. You are welcome to bring any tree that you like to the workshop as well. We can help you with that. I have a lot of people bring me different trees in the wintertime, especially succulents and jades. We do quite a few of those, and I work with those quite extensively. And there's even some species I have that I got at, which operating was, he was in Pennsylvania. My mind is blank. But anyway, it's an obovata, but it has yellow cream variegation, which is very nice. It's one I haven't seen before, and I'm working with that one for bonsai next. If anybody comes to the greenhouse, I'll show you the mama plant. It's a big plant right now. I've started to cut on it. But very, very nice. It's just like a golden, creamy colored type swirl leaf, and it holds it very well. And the leaves are long and a little linear compared to obovatas. So it's one they had in their collection, never had a name. But I have a piece of it now too. So I was happy they were letting me take a little piece of that. Trust me, I take lots of little pieces with me wherever I go. And also I have the variegated portulacaria. Then I have the medial picta portulacaria, which has the reverse variegation. It'll have a yellow variegation on the inside of the leaf versus the outside. Slower growing, congested, but it develops a very bright red stem. Almost looks like Christmas right now. The more sun, the more red. So you get the red, the green, and the variegation at the same time. Those make beautiful little mamae, bonsai, all sorts of very small and congested. That's a good one. I've got plenty of stock of those going too. If anybody's there, I can give you little pieces of them. I started some there at the greenhouse. So I always like to share. Yes. Which part? I'm sorry. Yes, and I will probably end up taking that out, but I will wait till summer to do that. I'm afraid if I take that out too much and it gets an infection in the wintertime, it'll spread to the whole thing. I will cut that probably when I repot this. That's when it'll get cut out and it'll be drenched in fungicide, and then I'll repot it.
And then it'll probably come out.
Yeah, I'll probably clean this up. This may even get removed in time, so yes. it'll get reworked because over the years, pieces have died out, of course. But yeah, so I've got good plans for it. It's been with me a long time, so I'll make sure it goes another 50 years and go. So if not, we'll have to. Crohn's may have another one. All right. Anybody have any questions? I'm sorry? Well, in the wintertime, you see what's pretty dry. We'll continue to leave that dry. And when this turns to, like, say, that light green color, then I'll water it well. And I'll wait again this time of the year. Summertime, I'll water it whenever I'm thinking pretty freely with the other stuff. All the succulents, are watered quite a bit actually in the summer months, even fed. I do a lot of serapedias and different hanging baskets of things, and they're all on. I keep on even irrigation. So this time of the year, no, everything's cut off. The water's cut off at that point, so I just do it by hand. So, alrighty.
You said greenhouse.
Mm-hmm. It's heated, but there's a cool corner of the greenhouse where it's cool and dry, and that will mimic more of its rest period too while it blooms. It will stay in bloom for almost 2 months, and then the flowers fall off. They'll turn them brown first, and then I'll go through. And that's why I do one more cut. Then I get too busy to work, and I don't see it again until June. So when that time comes, I usually take vacation in July. So my plan is to really take this home and get it reworked for sure. Because it needs it. He's been neglected for way too long, and I'll start to work with him once again. I used to have, well over 50 trees when I was at Delhi. And we have a growing facility in Summit, Indiana. That's where I kept all of my trees. And I was there all the time trying to keep up with them. It got a little bit too much. But I probably have about 12 or 15 that are spread around that I've been working with. And a lot of starter plants at home as well. So I have grow lights in my basement. I do a lot of stuff with it. So people think I grow marijuana in the basement all the time. It's lit like an airport. I actually hybrid. So it's all growing seeds right now. So I introduce or do a lot of those with the varieties too, and irises. So there's never a dull moment for me. I'm always in the yard or working. So all right. Usually not. There is a little miniature winter in June called the Calicia. One called Pink Panther, which is nice. It's like a variegated pink. It'll take it dry or wet. Those are really nice in the bottom of bonsai too. I do use those quite a bit. A lot of people like that when we do workshops and things. I should have a few of those. Calicia, Call. It comes in green, and one called Pink Panther, which is a pink variegated, which is nice. We do them in baskets as well. Very easy to grow. Once again, throw it over your shoulder, it'll root. But it's good for a little decoration at the bottom.
What's the original habitat of the jade?
Well, jade, usually with Africa, it's typically dry, of course, and but then again, it goes to those cool rest periods as well. The lithops. I grow a lot of lithops, the little living stones, and the summer months typically there is their rest period. So in the summertime, I don't water those at all. And in the wintertime, you'll start to see them grow a little bit, or increase a little bit, which is opposite of our typical weather. But same with the jades, you're just trying to mimic that area. Portulacaria jades especially, they're not pampered by any means, and you don't want to pamper them too much. It's when they're overfed and overwatered, you get weak growth and the stem rot, and you got to be tough with them. And that's how you get the thick trunks. And also, too, when I do the training pots on these jades, I'll grow them very tight. That will develop a thicker trunk much faster than just over-potting them. But when I do the cuttings, though, I will keep potting them up, and then I start working backwards and start cutting on them, going smaller again. And before you know it, you'll get a big trunk small leaves. You can start to style it at that point. In the beginning, you're not styling, you're just cutting and seeing what comes out of it and going from there. Like I say, with Portugal Kerrys especially, I will stake them. I have some that are this high staked in 3 and 5 gallon containers. And I'll start to prune them out and start to style the trunks and slant styles or different things I want to do with them. It's just finding the time is my problem, but I do enjoy them. So one last thing though, after it does flower and I do prune this, all of this growth, and it'll do it every year, where it has the color on it would typically turn yellow and start to fall off after it flowers. It's just older foliage. And so that will push out new growth in the spring, which will be smaller as well. That will help it downsize. Yep. But you had a question, sorry. Any other questions? And I am there all the time at the garden center. And I get lots of emails and questions. And I do babysit bonsai. If you're going to be gone for a week or so, I do that. Yes, but not too much longer than that. But I've done that for people, and trust me, I watch them. Yeah. Other questions? About 3 years, I guess. Like I said, I was with Delhi for about 20 years. I used to grow all the perennials. If you go in front of Kroger, all those plants, that's Delhi. That's our wholesale side that I used to grow for. So I'm used to growing things in millions. You know, we did mums. It was like 5 million, 6 million. So to go to Jamie's and do 400 or 500 was a big shock, you know. But I'm used to big production, so that's why I like Jamie's. Jamie's got a big heart. It's a very small business. We work hard. We do commercial in 3 different states. We're a much bigger company than what we look from the road. It's just we're trying to help clean the facade. I've done a nice display garden in the front. Like I say, he's just been stone, rock, and mulch all these years. So now you throw the plants back in it. So we've got a lot going on. We just hired a new designer 3 days ago, and she's good. And so between her, myself, and Laura that works with me, we're the 3 horticulturists there now. So one of us is always there, and we can help you with the plants. Before there was no one there with plants, so that was the problem. And it was a shame to see that house empty for so many years. It's a nice house. We are going to add on to the house next June. We tried to this year, but with everything going on with restrictions and shortages, it never happened, but that's in our plan for sure. And we will have actually a little conservatory in the front of that built as well. So hopefully he'll have a permanent home eventually. I have lots of other. If you come by the garden center too, I will show you. I have my little private table, if you will. Everything's propped off of that we do for Jamie's. There's a lot of unique stuff there that you can't get anywhere that actually propagate. If you see something there that we don't have, I'm happy to propagate that for you as well. I have a waiting list of people that want different things. Some things only root 2 or 3 things a year. But there's some cool stuff there. You'll rummage through there. There's succulents to bulans, all sorts of different things. So I collect them all. Yes.
What kind of common problems do you see with Jade besides the rough rot?
Well,
and the fungus?
The biggest thing is just overwatering. It's always overwatering. And I'll tell you, I make my own soil mix. I have for years. And what I use is I go buy the cheapest plain brown aquarium gravel I can find. And I will mix that with certain types of soil depending on what I use. With Jade's, I'll mix out half of that gravel and half with pine fines, if you will, ground up bark. And if it's more tropicals, I will put a little peat in there, a little bit of compost. With my evergreens and junipers, I use acid soil compost and with that too, with a little bit of the gravel. So I adjust it for each one, but I make my own. You know, there's a million types out there. People have their own ways, but this is actually aquarium gravel with the bark and with this. So it's very free draining for the Jades. Same with the water goes right through. And that's what you want with the Jade. You don't want a lot of peat in it at all. You can do it early, but not as a finished bonsai in a pot. You got to have that gritty consistency for sure. I've seen a lot of them that they're just potted up with too good of soil, too much peat, and the roots will just rot in the wintertime. It happens pretty quickly. And also when it's very hot, if it's hot and wet, when they're not actively growing much, they will rot as well. And that's where usually when you're running into problems, you get that stem rot. It gets out of hand. This is fungicide about twice a year as a preventative. Other than that, I just do it by mechanical means of just regulating the water.
What's in the commercial, like supplement soil?
You know, I've seen everything in it. A lot of times it's just basic peat soil or what we call the growing mix. Just the perlite, the peat, all that mixed in with it.
What's the names that are way out there? I thought that they were mad.
Yeah, I've purchased quite a few succulents that were just in this rich soil and just disaster waiting to happen. I always repot them right away. Yeah, I usually do anyway. After I propagate them to death. Yeah.
How many
Yes.
pots should we bring Saturday?
Well, I have some plastic pots that you can put the trainer plant into. You can bring your own containers, but the plants are about this high before you cut them. They're in a 6-inch pot, so I wouldn't say not any bigger than that, really. You don't want it too big. And the pots, containers we have are about that shallow. Just traditional bonsai pots. I think there's two sizes there, different colors. And anyway, but we'll have plain plastic pots to use as well. And if you see other stuff there too, there'll be a lot of other starter plants I'm doing there as well. I've got a lot of Sarissa coming on later on too. Why? Because Sarissa is one that was the first one I ever worked on. And this is the original plant that I had back then that I'm cloning again. So it's just sentimental to me, but it's the plain old double snow rose. But I'll have traditional stuff, the Fukion tea, Malpigmas, and all those different things too. We'll have there too. And in the spring, I've got supply for some Shinpaku and different things. So has anyone done azalea bonsai here? How's that going? Working out good? Good. Yeah. Good. It's like I would say, you'll kill them with kindness on those. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that happen. It's just why I ask. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of time people call the problems. Okay, what'd you do? And they, I did this. And I'm like, well, that's your problem. Yeah. Right. Right. Absolutely. Anything else?
Is Jade's like
Yep.
more acid soil or?
You know, I have used it before. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I really don't. It stays pretty happy just with regular food. This is like a 20-10-20 if it's ever used on it, half stream. And I know it's half stream because when you use it in the greenhouse, whatever's left, it's diluted once again. And that's what goes on the succulents. So it's about a half ratio. Occasionally, you know, I do use an acid feed for petunias and things and the annual production. Sometimes I'll get a little bit of that, but nothing that's major. No. Mm-hmm. Not at all. Yes?
They come from more of a desert environment, those are usually more outdoor.
Yes, exactly. Yep. I just use regular. Best thing for it's water. When you get to the end, I say, you never want to overfeed these at all. You never get that stout growth. It's probably why some of this growth here was so vigorous last summer. I mean, it's just had a lot of feed, too much, I think. And that's not what you want. You want to slow it down too.
Can you repeat again how you
Yes.
get bigger trunks from not seeing trickle down winter?
What I do is, a lot of them are repotted. If it's like, say, a 4-inch material, I will pot up in a 6-inch or even a 1 gallon, sometimes even 2 gallons if it's a pretty vigorous variety. And I'll grow that for a summer or two, and it grows big. I keep potting it up, and then the summertime, not the winter, but the summertime, I will cut it back hard on the top and start to train the roots. And for a couple of years, I keep downsizing after that, and you'll get a big trunk. Yeah. Step up and pull down. Start reducing. Yes. Right. But still keeping the balance. Yes. Yes. Well, just letting it grow initially. I just let it grow. It's something out of whack. I would just let it grow, and then after I start to cut it back as I do the roots. Yep. After a couple of years. Yes. So I always got things coming on in the background, and you'll see that in the greenhouse. And some have potential and some don't, but you kind of, it's fun to rummage through it all and look for them. We do a lot of, I remember I did a talk in Louisville with the Louisville Bonsai Society, and I forgot his name. He did come over from Japan. I remember we had to stand him up on a box because I was way too tall standing next to him. And we had pulled a Alberta spruce out of the dumpster in our landscape department. And it must have had a trunk like this. It was beautiful, probably about 4 feet high. And he had a big pot, and we styled that. It was just beautiful. That I remember very, very well. And so he dumpster dive all the time to find material. You'd be surprised from landscape jobs what you find to make some pretty interesting material, especially junipers and things. Taxus, I've done a lot of taxus. Oh yeah, yeah. There were pandens, all those different ones. Yes, yeah. Even some arborvitaes, believe it or not, go down, and it's kind of interesting. I like it all. My passion's probably more with the tropicals though, just because I'm with it more. Yeah. All right, well, it was great to be here. I'm glad I got this kind of cleaned up a little bit. So, like say, when I heard about the class, that'd be awesome. I have a chance to take it out of the greenhouse and clean it up. I'm sorry? Yeah. So, yeah, I'll be happy. So, everybody's look at when I get back. What'd you do to it? And like I say, there was plenty here to take with you. So, I hate to throw them away. Got plenty of future bonsai here.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We look forward to Saturday.
It'll be a lot of fun. Like I say, dress warm. Our greenhouse gets a little warm this time of the year, and we'll have some waters and things. So, yeah, we'll have fun.